1 Million Prive. So this is a fragrance that has been discontinued for a while, and it is at the point where the price point for like a full bottle of this fragrance, if you can even find it, is typically going to be in the hundreds of dollars. All right. So are you willing to pay that, sort of high price for a bottle of, this sort of vintage at this point now fragrance? Or are you wanting to maybe get into like a clone or alternative of that fragrance? So in this video, I do have two fragrances that are basically cloning or mimicking the 1 Million Prive fragrance. And I'm going to be going over which one of these are actually the closest to the original. All right. So definitely stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's Jamar from Vegas Scents. And again, in this video, I'm going to be going over two clones that I have of 1 Million Prive. So definitely, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And to anyone watching, do me a favor, leave a like and a comment on the video. That greatly helps me out a lot with the YouTube algorithm. All right. So the two fragrances that I have here are going to be Private Suite from Alexandria Fragrances, and then another one here called Milano Prive, and this is from Pendora Scents, which I believe is like a sort of like subline of Paris Corner. So these two fragrances, man, they do have, a lot of similarities to 1 Million Prive. Now, in terms of, which one I would say, is actually the closest, I would say hands down is going to be the Milano Prive. All right. So Milano Prive, even from like the opening spray, I would say is very spot on accurate to, 1 Million Prive. I would say it's at least probably about 95 to 97% close to 1 Million Prive. So with 1 Million Prive, pretty much the main thing that I get in the opening is like this really juicy and sort of fruity blood mandarin orange note in that particular fragrance. And you get the same thing pretty much with the Milano Prive as well. You do get a pretty heavy dose of cinnamon also, but I would say in the Private Suite definitely has a much heavier emphasis, in my opinion, on like the cinnamon and the tobacco than the blood mandarin, or the blood orange. The blood orange is really not that present at all, I would say, in the Alexandria. You can definitely sort of smell it in the background of this fragrance, but it definitely doesn't give you anywhere near the sort of juiciness or the fruitiness that you get from either the original 1 Million or the Milano Prive. Like I said, these are very much similar to each other. I don't want to necessarily say that this is like a one-to-one clone so far, but I mean, it is, I would say it does get pretty close to that. Like I said, it's at least about 95 to 97% close pretty much. And I mean, even once these two start to dry down, this is still going to be, at least about 95% close pretty much to the original. Whereas, again, with this one, you're not really getting any of that mandarin note, sticking around really that much in this fragrance. Again, it is still there in the background, but definitely not as much as what, this one has or the original. And you're going to start to get more into, like I said, that sort of tobacco, the patchouli, and then also, again, the cinnamon. Cinnamon is definitely, I would say, the most prominent note that I really pick up on, with this particular fragrance. So, I mean, I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. I do love cinnamon in fragrances. It adds a really nice spice that I like. So if the cinnamon aspect of 1 Million Prive is, what you sort of prefer, then I think Private Suite may, be the better sort of clone for you. But if you're looking for something that's going to be, as accurate to the original as possible, then I would say the Milano Prive is absolutely going to be the better buy. Also, I mean, one thing that you have to also consider is the fact that the Milano Prive, this is a 100 ml bottle, and I believe I paid about $35 shipped from aromaconcepts.com. So I'll have a link in the description to where you can buy, these fragrances. But again, I believe I paid about $35 shipped for this 100 ml bottle. And I mean, the presentation on this, I mean, the cap is a little bit cheesy and cheap looking, but I mean, overall, I would say the bottle does look pretty nice. Now, the bottle looks fine, at least with the Alexandria, but you have to consider this is a 55 ml bottle. Now, I think more than likely, if you were to purchase this bottle now, today in 2023, you would get the different sort of blue tall bottle design, which I believe those are all like 60 ml bottles. Or I think you may even have the choice to choose between either a 55, a 60, or 100 ml in this fragrance. So the 55 ml bottle, I believe I probably paid like around $40 plus shipping or so with this one. So the Alexandria is going to be the more expensive fragrance per ml. Absolutely. I want to say probably the 100 ml bottle of this probably goes for like around $60 or something like that. So again, $60 or so for, I would say this is probably about 75% close to 1 Million Prive, 70 to 75%. So you're paying more money for a fragrance that's not as close, as opposed to paying, a lot less per ml for a fragrance that you're getting more juice of. And it's also about, 95 to 97% close to the original. So at least for me, even though I do like both of these fragrances, I do actually slightly prefer the way that the original scent profile actually smells. So I do prefer the way that the Milano Prive smells over this one. But I think that, again, with this one having the heavier emphasis on like the cinnamon and the tobacco, this is still a fragrance that I'll probably still keep, along with the Milano Prive. But both are really solid fragrances. Like I said, overall, this one is going to be about a 95 to 97% close. This one is about 70 to 75% close. In terms of performance, I just got this fragrance. So, I mean, I have had enough time to kind of wear this side by side with the original and kind of pick out the differences. But in terms of like the performance, I don't want to speak on that quite yet because I haven't had the fragrance that long. But just wanted to get this video out to you all. If any of you all were actually curious to know exactly how close this was to 1 Million Prive and if this was actually worth the purchase. And at least in my opinion, I would say absolutely, especially if you're familiar with the 1 Million Prive scent, profile. And you don't want to go out and, go on eBay and pay $300 or something like that for a bottle of the 1 Million Prive that you used to be able to get for like around $60 or so. Then I would say absolutely go ahead and go with this one. I think really the main difference that I picked up on was the quality is ever so slightly a little bit better in the original Paco Rabanne 1 Million Prive. But I mean, it's nothing that you would be able to really notice in the air. This was something that I really had to kind of dig into the fragrance to really be able to tell the difference between. All right. So absolutely, man. Check this one out. Pendora scents, Milano Prive. I absolutely recommend this to anyone that is, in love with that sort of 1 Million Prive scent DNA. All right. So let me know in the comments what you all think of Milano Prive from Pendora scents. Have you all smelled this? If so, have you smelled the original? And also, have you smelled Private Suite from Alexandria Fragrances? And if so, you know, do you agree with my assessment in terms of how close this is, or really how close it's not to the original fragrance? All right. So let me know in the comments. And again, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see y'all in the next video.